Okay, everybody, we have PJ Hall. Please go ahead with questions.
Yes, PJ is talking about your foot. How much does that affect you during the game? How much do you feel it? How much pain are you playing through, you say?
Once I get on the court, I have so much adrenaline going through my body. I don't really feel it in the first half. Halftime, you get cooled down a little bit, you feel it, but try not to think about it. Every now and then I have a play that, spikes some flare up and some pain in my foot. It's not as bad as it may seem, but if you play through it whenever it hurts bad. And if it gets too bad, then you rest a little bit the next day. But in the game, you just try not to think about it.
Yeah, I guess how long have you been dealing with this foot issue? Is it go back a ways or is it?
Most of the season, probably. Yeah, I'd say probably about 6 games into the season, and then from there on, yeah. It was at its worst after Drake, and then after that, it progressively got worse, or it first got better, and then every now and then I'd have a play where it was like I remember in the BC game, had a play in the second half where like it was bad, and so after that I had to take a few practices off and calm it down, and it's getting better now.
Yeah, I guess how do you explain then, how you've been able to make this jump in your sophomore season playing through that? I mean, how have you not let that inhibit you, I guess?
I guess it's really just making sure I go out there and it's whenever people come to games, I know that someone's out there coming to watch me. And so I go out there and I give my best. I give it my all because I don't want someone to get back home disappointed. And so also I'm going out there and playing for the guy beside me. All these guys, we all have our nooks and crannies that are hurting our cracks in our armor, but we're fighting for each other and playing for each other. So whenever we're hurting, you just gotta fight through it. And if you can't play, if you can't contribute, then contribute on the bench and contribute with your voice.
Yeah, and obviously Hunter was going through a similar. He had 2 ankles. How is he still able to contribute, despite those injuries? And how much have you seen him tough things out?
That's because he's Hunter Tyson. That's the toughest guys I've ever known. So that's one of the reasons why I'm able to fight through some of my stuff. Is I watch him playing with a purple ankle for 2 games. It was brutal watching that. So watching him go through that, I knew that if I'm a little sore here and there, I can definitely play through it too.
Yeah, and just in terms of your overall development, I know Coach Brownell talked about strength, being a huge thing and kind of pushing you forward. Mm-hmm. And what do you think you were able to improve strength wise that's actually translated to the court?
For one thing, I cut off a lot of body fat. I was around 13% last year, and I'm down to around 7 or 8 right now. So that really helped me be able to just move around better and more fluently, and also get them on the court better. And then obviously once I cut that off, I was able to put some more muscle on, put it on some weight in my legs, some have a bigger base down there to post up with, move my feet a little better, and lower body was definitely a big factor of trying to add some strength there so I can post up a little harder.
There are certain exercises that were an emphasis or something.
A lot of painful leg days, some prowler pushes up and down the court. A lot of times the legs are numb. You finish the workout and you just sit down, or lay down for lack of better terms. It's not fun, but it gets you where you need to be.
Yeah, I guess what are prowler pushes that you could
explain? It's a sled with say a triangle type shape. So you got 2 platforms kind of right here, and then one in front. You have 2 poles, and then it kind of goes in a T shape. You can throw as much weight on it as you want on the 2 poles. I normally put like a 45 and then maybe an extra 10 or 25 on each side, and then you just push it up and down the court. And sometimes it'll be a march, sometimes it'll be a sprint. Just kind of depends what workout you're doing. Yeah.
I guess when during the season, obviously you sit on the bench, you have a season where you're only playing less than 10 minutes a game. When do you realize in the preseason or during the season that you've kind of taken this jump and that you're a little bit of a different player and you can produce at that level?
Really, I just kind of took it day by day, especially in the off season. It wasn't really looking too much forward. It was really just kind of looking at what I could get better at the time being. So, whenever I was going into the weight room, like what was the goal for that day? What was the goal for that week? What we were going to work on that week on the court, whether that be ball handling or my shot, and or that day if we were doing a post workout or if we were doing something on the perimeter. I never really looked too much forward into even in the season. Half the time we play a game and I don't know who we play next. I just kind of focus on the next game. And so I kind of just sit there and I look at what's in the present, and then I watch God work his magic and let it pan out in the future.
Yeah. I guess was that partially your approach last season with Amir? I mean, how, a lot of guys wouldn't want to come somewhere where they have to sit behind a person. I guess, why did you want to do that? And was it a day by day approach? Kind of how did you approach that?
Yeah, that is really what got me ready for this year, that day by day approach. I mean, there were times last year when I was really struggling mentally. I mean, you come out of high school, you're, a top 50 player or whatever, and you're expecting to come in and contribute. I knew I wasn't going to be the man, but I wanted to contribute more on the court, and I had to learn how to do that in other ways. And so being on the bench and being on the sideline more, I had to learn how to, keep spirits high and learn how to go into practice every day knowing that I'm working for something in a longer term goal instead of something. If we're a day out from a game, I'm not working for, let's get ready for tomorrow's game to go drop 20. It's go out there and work for getting better mentally, getting better prepared to lead a team the next year.
Anybody on Zoom have any questions for PJ?
Yeah, PJ, this is Davis Potter with the Clemson Insider. I'm curious, have you gotten an official diagnosis on your injury, like what you're actually dealing with?
It's some inflammation in between the fourth and fifth metatarsals. I had a stress reaction. I didn't have any fractures in high school, but I had that on my foot as well in high school. But that's kind of the same area that's been flaring up. So around that fourth and fifth metatarsal, there's been some inflammation and some stress build up. And so they've also think there might be some inflammation in the ligaments, but the MRI didn't show anything too serious. And so it's really just kind of taking it day by day and resting it and trying to, do as much therapy as you can on it and just trying to, get it calmed down.
Do you think that's something that might require surgery at some point, or do you know?
In the fifth, not as much. I learned about this in high school a little bit. In the fifth metatarsal, if that were to be a stress fracture, that's more of just a break and heal. But if it's in the fourth, then eventually it could end up being surgery and put in a screw. But at this point, I had one in high school. It's not a stress reaction I had in high school. It's not a surgery for reactions. And so right now it's kind of just letting it calm down. Yeah, if it were to get worse, we would have to see it. But at the moment, I wouldn't see that happening.
PJ, this is Matt Connolly with ClemsonSports.com. Is it something you think you're probably just going to have to deal with the rest of the year, or is there a hope that maybe here in a couple of weeks it'll calm down?
Yeah, we've got to calm down before. It got to a point after the Drake game, it got bad, and then a few weeks later, it was going into Christmas after the Virginia win at Virginia. It was probably the best it had been since Drake, and then I started almost practicing about every day. And then, it flared up again, and then it got to calm down. Then the BC game happened. And so it comes and goes. It's never good, but it comes and goes, and it's a variability of pain. But, it could last the whole season. It could last until tomorrow. You really just got to kind of play it by ear and see how it's feeling. Wake up in the morning, get out of bed and see how it feels. And then you kind of play that day of how it's doing then.
PJ, I guess with the injury and also you being one of the, having a big jump from year one to year two, is it frustrating, or how do you, process emotions knowing that you did have this big jump, but also are a little limited by an injury?
It's not really frustrating. Obviously it'd be nice to not have my foot hurting, but you kind of just take what you can get. You lose the game at Duke and it sucks, and you go out the next practice and you practice hard, you get ready for the next one. It's kind of the same thing with injury. If your foot's hurting, then it's not like you can snap your fingers and make it not hurt. So you just got to kind of take what you can get and keep playing.
You mentioned
PJ,
the Duke game
Larry,
go ahead, Larry.
Sorry, Matt. Larry Williams of TigerIllustrated.com here. Given how much practice time I guess you're missing, do you feel it getting into your legs like late in a really tough game like at Duke where it affects your shot at all, or no?
Absolutely not. Trust me, the stuff they have me doing on the sideline, I actually probably get more conditioning in than in practice. We have a couple air bikes that I do, and it's brutal. So I would much rather be practicing than the stuff I do on the sideline. So I'm fine at the end of games.
I can't remember, I guess before the season, was it a knee injury you had, a minor knee injury?
I kind of sprained my knee a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. I was in a brace for like 3 weeks, and then that was it.
PJ, I was going to ask, with the Duke game, I know you didn't have maybe your best shooting day. Was that size, do you feel like, for them, or do you feel like you got the shots you wanted and they just didn't fall?
I tell you what, I went back and watched. I mean, I really did get the shots I wanted, and I take the blame for that. They just weren't falling. I mean, even the hook shot. I mean, I was getting the shots I wanted. I still remember faking a dribble handoff and turning into a post up and spinning it back in my right hand and watching that ball rim out in the first half. And I was like, geez, like that always goes in. So, you know, it didn't fall that night, and, you know, it sucks, but it happens sometimes like that. And so other guys were shooting well, and, you know, we'll learn from it and get them at home.
Probably have time for one more if anyone has one.
You mentioned the bike, PJ, but are you doing any on-court work during practice?
Yeah, I did some stuff. Some whenever I'm not going like full court and stuff, and even the day before games, I'll do about half the reps in practice. But whenever I'm not doing a full practice or I'm doing something like I'll do like yesterday or today, I'll do, you know, like some passing drills, some shooting, and then once I go into live stuff, good on good or good versus scout, I'll go to the sideline, do a bike workout.
So is it left foot or right foot for you?
Left.
Can I ask one more, Ben?
Yeah, yep.
Mike Krzyzewski, PJ, he's a pretty important basketball person, said you're the most improved player on the planet, and you're definitely a pro, I think is what he said. What's your reaction to those words?
Was that after the Duke game? I didn't hear that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, appreciate it. I mean, that's a huge compliment coming from one of the biggest names ever in basketball. I mean, he's having his last go around. He's having a great year. He has some great pieces on that team. I saw the other night he seems to have a really good team, some great core guys. I mean, I saw an interview. He said something about AJ Griffin starting a Bible study with the team. I loved that. So it seems like he's got a great group of guys over there, and he obviously does a great job over was like 35 some odd years or something
46.
to do what
46.
46. My gosh, I'm 19. But he you know, he's a legend, so that's huge work coming from him.
Appreciate it, PJ.
Yep. All right, thank y'all.
Thanks, PJ.